Hey, look, I'm back at the top of the leaderboard for the Islanders New Shores demo. Want to see how I did it?
Hello everyone, this is Connor, and this is the Islanders New Shores demo. The demo is back online, and that means I will be competing again for high score placement. Now, I did one run just to check out the new buildings. I played the third island fully, with the first and second I left as soon as I was able to. So obviously I am not yet competitive in here with Johan and Lettuce, who were the number 1 and 2 score basically the day that the demo went up. So I get the sense that they might be related to the developers. So I think Lettuce was in charge last time too. So if nothing else, a very serious player and an opponent that I plan on taking down. So this was my first island playing seriously for points. I'm still adapting to some of the significant changes that the sequel makes. I think the mindset of playing out buildings like parks in high profit locations, rather than holding them until you might eventually get like a hermitage, which on the starting island would be near impossible. I think you would need to have such longevity from your buildings, because you just run out of buildings way faster. So 1,300 points, moving on to the second island. So I am strongly of the opinion that having a reroll boon heading into the third island, and hopefully also a sealed boon, will be important for maximizing scoring. Because I think determining what island you get here is the single biggest decision that you can impact. And so using a reroll boon for that feels powerful. And I will say, Verger is a strategy that I am still coming around on. I'm still developing my skills at it, determining if it's something that I can find a high score path in. The Guild Hall is interesting as well. It's a building that scores points for each unique building that it can detect. So if it detects multiple of the same building, those will end up costing you a negative. So with some proper planning, you can get over 100 points for a Guild Hall. I don't think Verger will get me there, so I'm going to go with this. It's also important to note that whatever you unlock here will be added to your options for the third island. So as you're playing on the third island, you'll unlock the Guild Hall or Verger. So there is sort of a strategy of investing in the natural elements, and then you'll carry that through the rest of the run. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and take Tropical. Theoretically, this water plateau style of island might give me something flat. Meanwhile, this fantasy with multiple cliff houses looks pretty vertical to me, and generally flatter islands are higher scoring. So for a lot of reasons, this will be my choice, and sure enough, it is flat. It's also really decentralized, so this is going to be interesting. Not a lot of tree cover, average or below average flowers, just a few, but a few up here that will be good scoring off shamans. So the Guild Hall gets 12 points for every building, not water plateaus, but everything else, and then loses 10 points for the second instance of that building, and loses 10 points for the third and the fourth, and so it very quickly penalizes you. Okay, so this is an archipelago. That makes sense. And this, I now feel increasingly confident that this was the better island for me, because I think with the short longevity of islands this early in a run and in the new game, I think having a big flat area to just place my buildings on is going to be the most scoringest strategy for me. I think I do want to place this here. And obviously, I'm cutting off a little bit of buildable terrain here, but especially given the score constraints of the sequel, I don't think that matters essentially at all. Oh, look. I thought that I misplaced it, but I definitely did not. It's just jumping it into alignment, and it didn't jump that time. Wait a minute. Because there is a little bit of building snapping. Like, yeah, that one definitely snapped over. There's a little bit of building snapping where when you place a building... Oh, that one snapped less, or did it? Buildings try and put themselves on a grid, which was not something in the original. And it's kind of a nice change in general. Definitely... I mean, here we immediately run into the same consideration I was discussing, where typically on the previous game, the original Islanders, I would always choose things like seaweed fishers because they don't take up any buildable space. But buildable space is no longer your limit, so you actually just want whichever one you think will be higher scoring. That said, I still think it's the seaweed farm. The brewing, these little fields are going to start out at like 7 or whatever and get up at some point to maybe 18, 20. The brewery itself will probably score 15 to 20 points, and then plus 18 on every tavern you build. But Seaweed Farm, you can build a really tight nested up cluster of it. It's good with lighthouses. I think it's good with city centers. Both of these would function pretty well with the guild hall. Only getting one is not ideal, but so it is. So I would love to find a placement that gets me my 6 water points and touches the statue without encroaching too far in. On the other hand, wherever I place this, I had never even thought about placing that far inland, weird. I do want to be able to get one of each of these in my guild hall. So maybe my guild hall ends up like here or something, and I want to be able to get exactly one of each building in it. So I'm going to look around a little bit for a 13 I like. I think this is pretty solid. Wow, I can even go all the way along here. Just to have enough space to do another full row here if I end up wanting that. For right now, I think I just want to go ahead and place both of these. I think this might end up getting placed eventually, but for right now, I want to leave that as potential seaweed field space. So let's go right here with the intent of slotting another T in there. And these are good to place early because they're not really going up in value, not much. City is always my choice, and also it's even better with the guild hall because it gives you 3 unique building types. So I can place this as one building, then I can place one house, one mansion. And those points will probably get me more buildings. Start transitioning up into all my flat ground here. This is my first archipelago that I'm playing in New Shores, so that's kind of fun. Now, I'm double checking this. So, shamans will end up inland in order to get restricted by the walls, in order to touch the flowers, in order to avoid the city center maybe. So houses will also move inland. So I should start mansion out here. And then I did want to place one house. And one seaweed field. Just going to place it sort of exactly centered here. My intuition tells me this is a better orientation. So see, already we've got a 72-point guild hall, but that's because I've only gotten one of each of these buildings. And once I get a second, like that, it's going to become a little more difficult. Now is the time to see if I want this 14, or if I would prefer something out here. Because of the way that bucket's swinging, or not bucket, but the little fish gatherer, I think this is going to be a stronger placement, and that still pretty easily lets me keep it out. I can even continue building that direction as long as I commit to the guild hall being like here, or maybe even here and placing another seaweed field, because I do intend to seaweed field this direction, so I don't want those to get clipped by my detection radius. I'm also going to go ahead and start the lumber for a similar reason. So we'll take a 15. Normally in the previous game, this is terrain that I would be concerned about giving up for houses, but there's no way I'm getting enough houses to fill all this. It just doesn't happen anymore. It's kind of a fun change. I could place this. I could wait for maybe getting a second lumberjack. I think waiting is going to be superior. The only reason that I'd want to place it would be if I could score the +3 off of this, and to that merit, maybe I want to put it down here, and then call that +3. But if I'm going to be doing that, I can actually just get my points off seaweed fields. some logic to holding these until I could touch a third seaweed farm, but that seems like a little more than is required. Oh, and I actually, by that placement, I kind of priced myself into doing another one right here. Mason will only give me one unique building, while brewing gives me two. Masons I also prioritize heavily in the original game because of their connection to temples, and I won't be getting a temple because I didn't choose temple. Temple is in this version of the demo, but it is a between round choice, so my guild hall replaces my option at temple. Brewing pack does give me two buildings. The Masons are really good. They're really good with plateaus and city centers. I think I'm okay taking Mason from now. It's only like a 12-point difference on the guild hall. Not worth crying over. No second lumberjack, not yet. So single Mason seems like a pretty safe next placement. It's only going to get better when I get brick industry. And given how little sand there is on this island type, they may not give you brick industry, I'm not sure. I can still easily place the water plateau though. So maybe let's get the high score here. Let's place one for better detection over here. And I'm nervous about placing it in such a way that blocks this, but it's not a major concern. I'll place that, and then this can... Okay, so that placement isn't good enough. It needs to be here. Now it should be pretty easy. So 84 points already. Now that would be quite a kickstart, but I could actually do even better. So I'm going to start with a Mason. I'm going to place this over here. I think it's likelier that I play Shamans over here, and they dislike each other. So even though houses like both, I'm going to err on the side of placing over here. One house, one mansion, and this detection radius kind of prevents me from placing another. But the water plateau doesn't get me over the point threshold unless I tag in like that. And if I'm tagging in like that, I almost want to go ahead and place this. Many conundrums. I'll place it there. I think I'm out of detection. I could place it here, but then the water plateaus won't get it. So like this is space that is so valuable that I would never even consider giving it to a sawmill in the first game. But times are changing. Right now the 19 point or 18 point is more appealing to me. I think I'll take the 19. At this point we're up to 108 brick. So that was why I thought about holding the Mason, but fine to place my first one. Second lumberjack too, immediately punished. It's not that bad. Take a 13, double check that that is still compatible down here, and we have a boon unlocked. Is that the building I want to unlock the boon with? I think I'd prefer water plateau, and now seeing that this one is green also changes the equation a little bit. Oh, I undid the building and still have the boon. I wonder if that's intentional. Statue and shrink building. Okay, so... This is interesting. Second statue, I think would have a hard time fitting on this island, so I would need to have neighborly to put it like out here somewhere. Shrink building times 3 is going to give me a lot of efficacy. I'm okay with shrink. There is some logic to leaving shrink for the next island, but I don't ultimately think that's what I want. So I did want this, and now a sand pit is another unique building, so I want to make sure that is close enough to get detected. I see some 15s. Take this random 16 here, and yeah, let's just cram all my industry into this one tiny little space. I mean, 132 points though is kind of ridiculous. Like, there's some real value there. Even though this is green space and could be used for hermitage growth, I think I have enough green for just like placing parks and then getting a decent hermitage, so maybe I just go down here. It's also 19 points right now, which is significant. Lighthouse is only 1 building and brewing is 2, and I think it's time that I place my guild hall. I think very shortly I'll need to be placing additional houses and mansions. I'm just building up enough of them that they'll choke me up. Won't be able to get other buildings through. So yeah, I'm going to take brewing on the assumption that I am now placing the guild hall. So if that is the case, then let me do this, and that's probably not in range. I'm going to place it. Oh, it is. Okay, great. And then 156 points. So the guild hall is quite valuable. It did impact my play and also my decision making. I took some different building choices. Like I would normally have preferred the lighthouse here, but getting 24 more points swings it in this favor. Also, if I had gotten the times 1.5 score boon, I mean 156 points. Like that is impressive. Not as in I am impressive, but as in that's a nice building. Now I can pick up the lighthouse. Not too significant of a delay. And I will get more guild halls in the future, so we got to keep that in mind with our future placements. Not that it's the biggest deal. I've taken up what I thought was going to be good shaman land through here in large part, but can still get like a 28. Yeah, I think this will crack up in here wherever I can find a placeable spot, because like this 32 is up the slope, not realistic. But 28 is good. I will take a 28. And honestly, 11's pretty good. And we have a new boon. Score multiplier sealed boon. I would love to carry a sealed boon into the next island. So even though score multiplier is pretty good, I think I will just take the sealed boon in order to maximize score on my 3rd island. Now we immediately start running into this issue, which is not that bad yet, but get some 10-point sand industry, maybe an 11 that's a little more annoying. That seems reasonable. I'm not fitting 2 buildings in this space no matter what. There's even a 12. Okay. And then if I take up really good space here, I can get a 22. So this is another thing where, like, obviously this is, you know, going to be good space for houses or whatever. But getting 22 points from a brickyard also matters. And that is much more relevant now than it ever was before. Kind of a fun change in the sequel. So 10, 11, let's keep them clustered up. 10, and don't need to place the brickyard yet. Fountain's nice, more water plateaus are nice. This area needs to become all mansions pretty soon. I think a 27-point brickyard. Or I could also take a 23 that is just much less disruptive overall. So that may end up being the play. There's also this cute little 19 in here. Huh. I will need to keep that in mind for the future. But for right now, I'm going to start committing to mansions. And that gap there is not going to be buildable. So where do I want that gap? Does it matter which side it's on? I don't think it matters too much. I think I'm going to place it on... Wow, does not touch the statue. Classic mansion moment. And that one does. Okay. I'm going to place the gap on the top edge. I think that is less likely to penalize me. And I guess I have to do it now because I got this big boy mansion. I could take a 12, but 12 is not much less than 15. It's actually worth doing this if I can get 2 15s, I think. And I really hope I can. Yeah, okay. Then yeah, that ultimately is not going to matter either way, because I'll just block it up here. leave that gap down there. Already getting up to some pretty good fountains. Might be lighthouse time, so lighthouse, in my experience, it's kind of just a place and forget building. Like I don't do a lot of planning around them. I think there is an effective strategy where you're more intentional with them and they boost things like wall houses. So you can build with that. I just haven't managed to make it very profitable myself. So 42 sounds fine to me. Probably should not have placed a couple of these because I well overshot the points, but that's fine. And I want fissures, even with fields not having the detection or not having the placement restrictions they do in the first game, by which I mean even though I have more space to place fields, I still think they are relatively low scoring, and I prefer building pack like a fissure that also gives me more bites at these apples. You know, I want to have a higher chance of unlocking houses and mansions, all my classic friends, my favorite buildings. It's like one good house in there at some point. Don't think there's going to be an especially good fissure yet. Let's start with the water plateaus. And let's create some more space over here. I think that's as good as it's getting. And so... okay, so... there's no house up here that detects the shaman. So this decent house here, which is also a decent brickyard, might end up being better off as the house. I think I'll start with this, though. Pretty out of the way, pretty good scoring. I'll be able to get it all with the warehouse, I think. Ooh, that's good. Single plateau, which is mid, and you can't place it on water plateaus, which is disappointing, but everything else about that went well. And do I want to try and use this to elevate the scoring of buildings? Well, this is almost placeable. The bar for what is and isn't a placeable negative shaman has changed quite a bit, because you can score a lot of points from a shaman just by using the boundary restrictions. Like you see, even just like shoving in a random crevice like this is 21 points. So yes, working off that 21 plus 6 at a time doesn't take very many mansions, but still, this -5 means I have to place 4 mansions touching this to break even. That's breaking even. That's not, you know, not a great score even. So no double touch here already is disappointing. I do have this one, which I could water plateau right here. That feels reasonable. I hate that it's green, but I still think this is... yeah, I still think this is good. After some consideration, so I'm going to take a 30. It has to be over the water, that's what changed. A 30. That takes up relatively little space on top here, and then this will give me a bunch of 2 touches. So I can place that, and then... hey, new island unlocked. What's my new boon, boss? Increase area, add terrace. Both pretty powerful. I think the terrace is much more powerful. I'm concerned about not having it for the next island and using it here instead, but I think that's kind of a losing mindset. So I'm going to take the terrace, especially with my one city center build that I'm struggling with here. I think the terrace is going to be an important score multiplier. And it also cannot go on water plateaus. So given that, I probably don't have any good legal placements of it. I didn't really think about the water plateau element. That might have made this a huge mistake. Good thing to learn early, but this... okay, we'll see. So I think my plan, as of right now, even that's not placeable. Weird. is to do... I wonder if it works the other way. Hold on. No. Okay, so I can place this for +6, and then place the terrace right here-ish, and then start sneaking some of these shamans in for small minuses. And I think that will create another mansion area. So that's what I'll have to do for mansions over here. I don't have to do it yet, though. I have a couple more mansions that I feel good about over here, and some houses. So maybe I start there. So let's place a couple houses. Just placing like an 11. And actually that one... No, it's not going to detect. Okay. So that one's fine. I was worried it was going to detect the shaman. Therefore, I was placing it preemptively. But even this guy isn't going to do that. The square mansion's really harsh in my vibe. But 6 is just not a score I can really defend. And this fountain spot is pretty necessary. Maybe I can take 12 and then a long bar reaching in there. I don't know, I'm concerned that the right building might be able to reach the statue, but that does seem less and less likely the longer I ponder at this. Okay, we'll take that square placement and then a 37. Feels okay. 37's a fair amount of points. Parks or farms? Parks or farms? Given the distribution of green plateaus, aka I don't really have them, there's one out here, parks are not going to be very good for me. That being said, I don't really want 5 fields, and fields are such high priority for the rest of the island that I don't want them gunking it up. Okay, so my one park, yeah, I can get 14 points from it, or something. That's fine. And let's get some of these down. It'd be most ideal to make contact with 3 at once, but I don't think that's worth waiting on in these circumstances. 7 is not something I would place. This little bit up here definitely seems like it should be buildable, and it just was, so it just has to be the right shape. I guess it just has to be this right angle? Yeah. Okay, so wait until I have a right angle house and then place it there. Can do. Need some points. Mansion's bad. Guess let's do... Interesting that I can go so far over. Can't quite get just the statue. But I think what I actually want is right there. So now I've already got like a 13 here, and that's with no boost from the terrace. And then don't need to place that yet because I'm about to progress to the next buildings. So maybe I can just find a sufficiently high-scoring shaman. This 19 is already pretty good, honestly. I think it's worth checking. Sometimes I find the shamans are a little unintuitive in what counts as restricting them, what counts as boxing them in as they prefer, so I think it's good to check around. But I haven't seen anything close to 19. So let's take a 19. And a 19 that's going to be near the Hermitage, possibly. I like huts. Second city center. Okay, that gives me much more direction. I still go shaman into city center, or I guess into terrace into city center. No, into city center into terrace. Okay. But before I do all that, let me just place this and get a boon. Okay, so like I said, I think it's important to be able to re-roll the next island, because I have some strong preferences for island types now. Neighborly is really good, especially since I'm holding a second city center I could slap down like here, but honestly, I think I can't pass up the chance to have re-rolls. So I will save those, and this can be like here pretty profitably. I mean, 21, 23 even. That feels good to me. Okay, is it time to place the Terra Shaman City Center now? This could give me more park power. Where do I want the terrace? I was sort of leaning it this way in order to, I guess, potentially score like here and tag it. But I'll be missing out on tagging it with these buildings, which are already kind of going to struggle. No, I think I do place this here. Okay, so these are now all locked up. Hut is locked until I place city center. So I can place the park, I can place the Fisher, but I prefer city center first. So unless I want to get all these points with mansions and houses, and I don't think I do, it's time to start placing this whole dependency tree. So I'm going to cheat it as far forward that direction as I can. Then going to take a 18, which I was kind of hoping was going to jump into this corner to fit that snugly. I wonder if it's worth it to place it out like this, or if I'd be better off. Yeah, not quite. I guess because there's not already buildings here to be in lock with. I think missing out on 2 points to guarantee that I can fit buildings 4 across is going to be a bigger deal. Okay, and then this can go down next. I think nothing I'm holding affects this. Yeah. So we'll take 42 and 15. I've now created a high-scoring zone for myself. Speaking of 28-point mansion, that seems like the kind of thing I am into. I don't have many of them right here, so let me place that carefully, intending to leave a wiggle. Yeah, great. This is kind of an awkward distance forward. Like, I'm glad I did it there because it's going to be much easier to touch with like this house, for example, but a little awkward. I'm going to leave that mansion, call it good. Take the tower, not spend my rerolls. I want to save those if possible. Second plateau is another big potential score booster for my city buildings, which I do have 24 of, so any score that I can build into them is going to matter. I think this is a much better placement, even at -3 points, so I'll take that. And these, just not super high scoring. New boon, increase area, adds. So I've seen both these before, interesting. I think an increase area market is going to go hard. I might be able to place like a tower out here, but I think the tower's detection radius is quite big. I'm nervous about the tower not quite being what I want. even like an increased area fountain is going to be good. I think I'll take increased area. I'm not totally sure about that decision, but you have to make choices and live with the consequences. 9 points down there, 13 points up here, and this is likelier to show up in my hermitage. So we'll take that. And then I guess we did all this prep for a reason. Let's start building mansions. So 22. Again, get the wrong angle. Take a different 22. It's kind of fascinating. 24 will go nicely. Yeah, so I've created some significant value over here. I'm pleased with this. And I am going to keep mansioning it as long as it is profitable. The mansioning will continue until morale improves. 22, 22, 23. 22 seems fine. I can also... Ooh, I'm like bugging into that gap just a little bit. Just enough. There we go. Finally, the direction I needed for this 25. Finally, I mean, it's been like 10 buildings. It's not a big deal. Last boon of the island. Let's hope it goes well. Level up or duplicate. Currently, duplicate would give me a sawmill, but I can pretty easily get a tower. Might be able to get a warehouse, and warehouses currently are worth, we'll call it 30 points, maybe 40. Will I get to duplicate something much more valuable? No, let's say a tower. So let's say that I get this tower up to maybe 60 to 80 points, depending on how many masons I get. So 60 points for a tower or an entire level up. I think these are similarly powerful, and I'll probably get better than a tower in time, but just for the ability to get duplicate on my next island, I'm going to take level up. A little bit of future proofing. Alright, so we have some 17s, some 23s. I like a 23. That is a sufficient score for me. Now, pretty soon I'm going to get a circus, and I have 18 houses here in need of a location. All these mansions will upset the circus. So I think houses over here, and then a circus right, here-ish, is going to be the play. So I guess I'm just going to start moving my house's build queue in this direction as best I can. We will start with this awkward 15. I can't wiggle up into this space as well as I wiggled those mansions, but that's fine. The tavern's pretty good. Maybe duplicating a tavern, but they don't like each other, so... And I gotta remember, I have an increase area, a level up, and a shrink building. So the level up's already 100 points, which is a lot. It's kind of a, bland boon, it feels like it's just checking a box, but it is reasonably powerful. I will give it that. 16, or a 14 here that's not going to help a circus, an 18. Still got to find a small house to try here, but even that 14 was not very appealing. And let's just start placing. I am fascinated by this ability to partially clip over. doesn't feel super intended. Like, maybe it's just meant to allow you to place things that, you know, maybe you thought it would work, but it maybe doesn't, but like it kinda does, so you can still do it. Oh my god, give me a different shape of mansion, please. I like the 19. I don't like every placement I have here is giving up some space, but take that, and this mansion belongs there. Or sorry, this house belongs there. 14? Not for right now. Maybe later. I'm also just like kind of placing these, while in reality I should certainly be going through some more of my industry. I just got carried away. I enjoy houses so much. So right now I'm still planning on using my area up on the fountain. I think that'll be pretty impactful. I can place some of this stuff. And then take the 21 that doesn't potentially help any water plateaus. Maybe I get one water plateau here that touches them both. Yeah, there's a 20 there, so I might end up taking that. As predicted, the circus is now here. Currently no good places for it, but you know, over here is gonna become one, maybe. Right there would be okay. Yeah, it's just because I haven't really placed my houses. Still got 14 of them sitting and waiting. I need a mansion I can wedge down there, so I can move on from that space. It's back to houses. Looking at my building selection. And these are just all, you know, great buildings, certified banger placements. This looks like I'm being cheated of a full 2 width here, but it's actually, this is already 2 wide, while this is only 1. So it's actually, this is 1 wide and then some change that I got for free. So because I was able to glitch these 2 mansions a little over, I've created a larger space here. I haven't lost space. 2. I'm sure people are really concerned about this 1.2 wide gap here. Yeah, okay, here's the guild hall back. So, times have changed. It's going to be a little harder to find an isolated spot, but there's still a 76 over here already. I mean, this is a good building. So short of creating a very intentional placement myself, let's say I do want this 78 to just be my placement. I could add a fissure, I could add a lighthouse, I could add a circus or a tavern. I'm not liking the sound of any of these. Maybe a hut? Can I get like a single 16-point hut just to effectively be a 28-point hunt, because it's going to boost this guy? I mean, 90 is good. Then this is not going to be as good as this, but it's fewer than 12 points worse. You know what I'm saying? So maybe I do place it out here, on the assumption my city's not going to grow that far this direction, and also that I might end up with a warehouse, which actually I think my warehouse will be maybe the next part of this. So I have a 48 up there that will almost certainly screw up my hermitage, which is already pretty screwed up by all these. Or a 37 down here. 33. Thinking that if I place this as a 37 that is effectively a 49 because it's boosting the guild hall, that could be pretty good. So let me place that and then see if it removes my good guild hall place. I think it doesn't if I can wait a minute. 1, 2. I saw that I was losing the 1 of 4. Oh, I can get the other guild hall, but I can't quite get the guild hall, but not that lumberjack or this mansion. Dang. Well, I can do 104. And that does not have room for the warehouse. I could place it like a 33 over here that's actually a 45, but at that point it's not competitive with 48 anymore. In terms of industry buildings after this point, I don't think there's a huge difference in how likely they are to touch these warehouses. Okay. So I'll save the warehouse. I do want to place one bad field just to get plus 12 on it. So place a 4-point field that is actually a 16-pointer because 16 points seems pretty competitive with my other park placement. I'll take a 20 first, but then a 20 and then 4. And a 4 that might, 5 actually, that might help a mansion at some point. That was actually a 17 because of the points it'll score on my guild hall. And tavern is just not going to be over here. Alright, time to place the guild hall. I know I've been deliberating on this one building for some time, but it is a significant building. 114 or 116. We like 116. 116 is a good score. And I am just inching it in as far as I am able to. Yeah, I don't think a lighthouse makes sense. It's like, yeah, these are not, that's not a placeable building. Speaking of lighthouse, got some like 30s. There's just nothing tall around here, but can hit a 32? It's not bad. Guild hall, good. Market, also good. And I can theoretically shrink this market as well, which will help it fit in there. I saw no need to shrink anything I was placing over here, by the way. I did not forget. But this immediately seems tempting. 56, and that will detect my warehouse up here. I probably should have explored if there's a shrunken warehouse, actually, that fits somewhere meaningful. Warehouses are a surprisingly powerful building. It's like more powerful than I gave it credit for. And 34 up there is not bad. It's not going to get the market, but it would have been got by the city, by the guild hall, pardon. Okay. I'm going to water plateau. And because the shape is bad, I'm going to use it to get my 20 points redeemed. And then over here, more greenery and more building space, or maybe here is better. I'm not exactly replete with parks, am I? I think just this building space feels pretty good. And then this one I don't yet have anything good to do with, so I could just place it to earn the points to get it out of my inventory. But I think I'd rather save it just in case something much better comes along. And instead I can just place a random house. $17-point house. I'll take a 20 instead. Okay, so we now have the Hermitage. We can see exactly how bad it is. Well, first I would need to shrink it, so that's not ideal. And secondly, it's 32 points. So, you know, I've seen better. Even just placing it here is 35 if I had a green plateau to put it on. So maybe I hold off on Hermitage. Maybe I just sort of give up on it. Maybe I place a few more parks up here first. Hard to say. 12s, 10s, 12, 11. Nothing too impressive in that camp yet. But let's 2 buildings per draw. Woof! You run out quick once they decide to cut you off. I don't want to take my market space, so let me feel out again where that's going to be. Looks like this is all the same, so I can place it more like over here, and that means this space can absolutely be built in. Like so. And then I'm going to go back to houses over here because I do want to get that circus down at some point. I know that's wildly unoptimal space usage, but given how this space is shaped, I don't think I can fit 2 houses in it no matter what. Because like that L just leaves a block of 3, that L just leaves a block of 4, that L leaves cut off sections. So. You gotta place what you are allowed, you know? And this is getting better. It's getting there. 24 is not embarrassing. It's not ideal, but you might end up taking it. Is 15 lower than I'm willing to place? I think it might be. Alright, let's take that lighthouse that I saw. I also saw some 30s over here. Okay. I'm a little confused about... I guess some of these bars are stopping before they reach the water, and that's what matters. Prefers open space, not high up space. So 32 over there, 34 right here, because it's mostly getting water. Okay, that's what it is. It's not about the height, it's just reaching water. 35, and what is the least hurtful thing to place now? Probably the park. It's just a low impact building in general. And I could take a 12. Don't want to block my Resort Oasis spot over here, but a 10 perhaps. 12 is uninspired. I don't want to give up this spot up here. Actually, you know, come to think of it, this might just be where I should be building houses. Lots of decent options. Just for the sake of play, I'm going to go ahead and take this 12, move us right along. Now, obviously, I got to take my main man wall here. They did nerf walls, and by nerf, I guess I mean fix. Like, walls now function how they probably should. Maybe not how I was hoping they would. You can no longer place them in silly, clipped into each other ways like I was enjoying before. That's good. We like 32. Let me get down a couple more of these first, but I am depleting my good house placements, so I can't place a lot more of these. 36 now. It's like 11 is just not very tempting to me. It's not like awful, but it's not appealing. I think because of the benefit to the market and potentially to the fountain and the surface, I think 111 is okay. Don't know if I'm willing to take another score that low, but 16 I feel better about. Okay, and now I can take a 44 over here. 48. Nice. There's only realistically maybe one or two houses I would actually place, maybe one up here, that would have been touched by that. So we got most of our value. Note that at this point, the level up boon is effectively worth 117 points. I mean, that's a lot of points. So, pretty good boon. Yeah, like I said, not the most thrilling, but it doesn't need to be. You can also see I'm getting 1 draw per building, and I have, 10 buildings left to place. So the island simply will not go on much longer. In those 10 buildings, I have 3 shrinks, 1 increase area. Do I want to go ahead and take 117? Because, maybe the next time I place buildings, I overfill to like here, and then I'm getting fewer points overall. I think, let's try and do some math. So, I can get 64 points, 76, jeez. Alternately, I can increase the range of my market. 77. I won't be able to shrink it, so it does have to go up here, which means that my warehouse would have to go in a similar place. I can also increase the detection radius of the warehouse, which I just now realizing I blocked my placement up here. I'd kind of forgotten about that. Okay, so in light of that, there is like a 59 right here, but without the range increase, it's only a 39, which is still fine. Or a 29 if I want to leave. But if I'm leaving this space up here for not the market, I guess for the fountain, but I think the fountain was larger on the ground as well. So, alright. So for the fountain I go from 60, 70... I need to actually get some paper out. This is getting complicated. But I'm going to do this math. I think this is one of the more sort of fun and nuanced changes of the sequel, is just how the boons impact. So if I go fountain top, I get 64 points, and fountain bottom is 76. And this is with the size expand. So if I don't do the size expand, then the best I'm getting 38, 41, 45. 45 up top or 41 down below. Then the market, I can get 74, no problem, out of the way of everything. Or I can use a shrink and get the same 74. Okay, that actually, knowing this just kind of simplifies everything. I hadn't thought this spot would be just as good, but it makes sense, they're right next to each other. So I think I then need to check, this is 77 versus 72. Absolutely not going to use the increase area on the market. So if I use it on the warehouse, I go up to 59 points. No industry buildings to place. Versus without it, I'm getting 39, so it's a 20-point boon. That is honestly bleak if 20 points is what this got me. Because, we were just talking about this being 117, so 20 points is not respectable. There's also maybe some consideration to increasing the area of the tower's detection. No, I think I can get 20 points by putting the fountain up top and using the range extender. And then I can just place this right here and the market right here. So that's 72 plus 39, which is 111. I need 117, so I'd be 6 points short, which would be pretty easy to pick up in any number of ways, but how to do so efficiently? Well, I don't want to score far over unless I have to, but I think I have a couple more fills of the score left in me. Could also, I did have success on my previous playthrough just goofing around with expanding the detection of the wall, because the wall actually scores pretty well, so I guess maybe a 35 is not too remarkable, but okay, getting really caught up in the details. Been a bit since I placed a building. Let's go ahead and commit to warehouse into market into maybe this is actually going to be better. Okay, so if I take 59 there, does that was 39 what I was already getting? I don't have a memory. 39, yeah, okay. So let's take this 59 and then try and wait on the warehouse. So many of the one buildings I could get here would help the warehouse. But actually, come to think of it, the one building is going to be the specialty building. It'll be like a wall plateau or something. It won't be a warehouse booster. So we can go ahead and place the warehouse for 39 points. And then I wonder if I can take it back and see if there's a 19. Because I think this will be exactsies. Yeah, okay, so that's exactly 120. Placing buildings for their good scores, like not trying to count. One monument, that's not going to score very well. So, 125 points. Do we think I'm getting better than 125 for the level up? I mean, 125, I'm probably only filling this thing twice more, so I think I'm just going to take 125. We'll keep an eye out for if there is a better opportunity in the future. And actually, it might have capped at 125, because it did not go up from there. Alright, can I do anything of interest with this wall plateau? Doesn't score off anything. I don't really have much to place on it. I can't build it off of this plateau, or the water plateaus, or the plateaus. This, I always forget what this thing is called. Terrace. I can't place it on the terrace, so I guess one of these weird placements maybe is the best I can do. That doesn't feel ideal, but like a 94, yeah. It's kind of wild. Okay, so this is gonna be... Do I have mediocre placements, or is it just bad everywhere? I mean, 27, that's mediocre. Okay, so 27, but that's in where I want the market to be. On the same premise that I'm going to get some specialty building, I think. Although I don't know how many are left. The monument's probably almost the end. I am going to just place a 94-point market. I don't see any benefit in shrinking it. The shrink buildings, I really want it to be more impactful than it frequently ends up being. Maybe now I can shrink the Hermitage and take a 37. I mean, 37 is a respectable building score. And I guess I can actually think critically about, can I sink this so far in that I get the +3 from the sawmill and also be detected by the hermitage? Let's see, because it's +5 on the hermitage, so this is like this is a 19 pointer. This one right here is a 23, which is comparable or better than I can get anywhere else. So it's worth a shot. We'll take this really far over 18 that feels kind of sunken in. And just for curiosity's sake, yeah, okay, that is +5. That was well thought, well placed. Down to farming. And notice farming did give us 3 buildings. It gave us mill, wheat field, water plateau. So that's kind of an interesting quirk of this system, I guess, is that if you delay a multi-building pack, and I think the water plateau is just, maybe every so often it is forced to give you one. But if you delay a multi-building pack, you can get an extra building. It's only 1 extra building, but, points do add up. So that's a 19. I can't get it to touch up there. Can I beat 19? Anywhere around here? Do I need the space for anything? I don't think so. It's much as a 17. 16. Yeah, I guess I just lodge these up in here. This is gonna struggle because there's no fields anywhere, but so it is. 26 up here that I can then place a field next to. Feels kind of sacrilegious to give up this top area, but I guess I'm already planning on placing the fountain up here, so it is. I wonder if I shrink this field just to leave enough room to hypothetically place something else. That seems really silly, but also maybe correct in kind of a funny way. I also now have another green plateau, so I could move this as needs want. Oh, I can also just place it down here for 27. And then this will touch it. Yeah, no problem at all. Doesn't even take up this slightly more marketable space. And we'll place this before the field. I know it's not going to be a good score, but it is 12 points. And take a 12. Now we place the field, and we shrink the hermitage. Maybe we place the last water plateau first. We'll place it over here in case I want more of these fields down here for some reason. I mean, at this point, it, really probably doesn't matter. This island's done, but 47, 52. Okay, 52 is the best I've seen. There's multiple 52s. And we will take one of them. Oh, now it's 130. Okay, so it's not capped at 125. Oh. I think let's increase a fountain's area. Just double checking that it's not better anywhere else. But no, 64 it is. It would be pretty good down here, but I'm okay with how we assigned this space otherwise. Lots of 64s all along. A solitary wall. Okay, so I think towers do score a point off a wall, and this doesn't care about towers at all, so no matter where I put my walls, you're gonna always want to connect them end to end, because they get 20 points for an archway. 20 is a lot. So I have a 24 here, with maybe the next one looks like this or something, like kind of wraps around the side here. It's a 24. I also could look along the water line here. I see a 20, I see a 17, some illegal 23s. I might be able to find a placeable one though. Yeah, there's a placeable 23. Nothing too wild though. I think we'll take this. And then pretty easy to get a 33 or alternately a more different 33. I saw that park flash points for a second. 36 is good. And the fish kite will want to wait for the tower. It's 15 points. The tower does not. +5 for the kite. Not good enough. 42, 52 pretty centrally. 52 seems like maybe the best I'm getting. Just for the sake of fun, I'm gonna shrink it. Oh, 53. Okay. There's an extra point in shrinking the tower. 50, 53. I mean, this feels like very obviously the center of my island, so I'm not looking a ton at other locations. So I'll just take a 53. Get my one random building. A wall is pretty good. That's better than average, I would say. So I can get 22 or 33. I remember there was one over here. Somehow. 33 that detects the terrace is my goal right now. There we go. So we'll take that, and then a fish kite can be 85 points. Wow. And I get one more building. So this is the second island. My first time playing Archipelago, and I did not expect to drift this quickly away from my statue. But I think being able to do the shaman, city center, plateau, terrace stacking here made all these houses a lot more profitable. They're only like, 15, 16 points, not incredible houses, but sometimes you work with what you got, and this did result in a good circus. Pretty good tavern as well, right up in here. And my final building will be a house. So I have 25 point house. Just kind of assuming up here is going to be best. And I probably should have placed a couple of these houses up here. So that's probably like 10 or 15 points I missed out on. Not a huge amount, I don't believe. But yeah, 25 just seems unbeatable. And also, I do want to observe, I got a pretty good score, but I also got a sealed boon, and I got, that was very sloppy of me. I should shrink this house. It'll look way cuter that way. I got the sealed boon, and I also got the rerolls. So I have 4 rerolls and a sealed boon going to the next island, which I think is an important thing to keep in mind. So that was the second island of the Islanders New Shores demo. I'm going to take a break here before playing the final island, so I think I'll just cut the video. But thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We'll continue our quest for a high score next time. Let me get a perfect ending screen. See you here next time.